Ahoy, you salty sailors. Time to raise anchor and set sail for your best scrawny life. Arrgh. I think I tried to get back into my regular exercise routine a little too early, and we're starting to kind of taking a step backwards as far as my back issues are concerned. And in the meantime, gizzard shad schools have moved offshore out at Lake Red Rock because the weather is starting to cool down. We're seeing some cooler nighttime temperatures, and also just how very low the water is. So even though the bite can be really good on these windy days when the weather is changing over for some of the larger wipers as well as walleye in particular, I'm just not feeling the need to chase down the schools and all that today. I'm going to just take it easy, kick back, and do some bird watching instead. This time of year, the pelicans, the boat traffic kind of dies down on the lake, and the pelicans come back from the upper end of the lake, and it's pretty neat. There's the drone approaching a couple pelicans. Surprisingly, they're not that afraid of it, which makes sense for a bird that, I mean, they often share the lake with bald eagles and osprey and, some seriously fierce creatures that they're just not that worried about a little drone. There's what that footage I shot with it looks like. This one I think is preening, but maybe that's something that has to do with their feeding as well. I'm not entirely sure. They're pretty cool to watch, even with as many jokes as I like to crack about all the pelicans splatter around the lake. The lake certainly would not be the same without them. I guess I'd miss them if they weren't there. They're definitely easier to film and a lot less wary of humans than the bald eagles are. That one on the right just fed. You notice how when they come back up out of the water, they'll tip their beak up to kind of swallow all the fish down. That one on the left grabbed a bill full of gizzard shad. Now, gulls, of course, will follow speedboats and dive into the wake to feed on injured gizzard shad and generally thrive off the chaos that people create. Pelicans aren't quite like that, but they're not as shy and reclusive as an eagle is. There we see one diving in. He's tipping up the beak. They're there to feed. There's no doubt about that. And there's plenty of gizzard shad in Lake Red Rock for them to feed on. Looks like there's a fog bank rolling in. I might as well shut up for a while and let you enjoy the calm while it lasts. Gulls, on the other hand, are just on a whole other level. They're such incredible flyers. I mean, I can't help but believe that they enjoy it in some way. I mean, that's probably a case of ascribing a human attribute to something that's not human. But that's certainly the way it appears to me. I mean, everyone admires yeah, those high screaming dives of an osprey or an eagle swooping down to pull a large fish out of a river. But, you know, for sheer acrobatics, seagulls and tree swallows really do some incredible things. And I'm inclined to believe that they do it for some kind of enjoyment that they get out of it. I mean, this one, is it tacking like a sailboat? Why? I don't know. It's hard to explain. But they're a lot like humans in some ways. They're noisy. They're social. You know, they're opportunistic, curious, fairly intelligent, usually pretty good at what they do. I'm inclined to think that they enjoy it. There's some sort of enjoyment they get from flying in the way that they do. Here we have the invasive Amur honeysuckle, one of the worst invasive plants, and then of course poison ivy. That's what the fruits of it look like. I would like to try to find some prickly ash seeds to try and germinate them, but it's getting a little too late in the year already. Now, something that can be confused for prickly ash is this multiflora rose, because it has a pinnately compound leaf, and it does have these kind of red rose hips at this time of year. And these coral berries can be confused with prickly ash possibly too. They have the kind of axillary type fruits, but you'll see the leaf it's just a simple leaf that's alternately arranged. Now here, there's just a swarming beehive with poison ivy, you know, draped around it and stuff. Just no real reason to be right there at all. Wow, it's been so dry. I wasn't expecting to find any mushrooms at all, let alone a huge fruiting of jack-o'-lanterns. Oh, look at that. And you can see on the ground all around them is the spore dust, kind of a pale colored. These are toxic mushrooms. They smell nice. They smell really good, but they definitely are toxic. This is one that sometimes can be confused with chanterelles, but you can see here it has the true paper-thin blade-like gills, not the ridges that the false gills that a chanterelle has. Wow, surprisingly big fruiting of jack-o'-lanterns though. So here we have a fallen log with some Ichnoderma resinosum, the resinous polypore, growing from them. Same log a little further down, and we have the Foliota orivella. Now this is, you'll recall, this is the Foliota that has another species that's visually identical to it, called Foliota limonella. But since it's on a hardwood log, I'm just going to call this one orivella for our purposes today. It's not one that we would pick and eat or anything like that. So, saprotrophic mushroom here. Here we can see there's another log here, and we can see again that somehow they tend to share with the same sort of logs with the Ichnoderma resinosum. There's a Xanthosxylum americanum, but it's too young. It's not mature. And I did, as I was walking along the trail there, did happen to peek behind this dead tree, and sure enough, there was a maitake. First one that I found this year. I mean, there can't be too many of them around. It's so terribly dry. I mean, we got a little bit of rain, but we need a lot more than that to really get them popping up. It's a polypore, of course. Now this here is a different species. This is the black staining polypore, Myripilus sumstenii. It's closely related to Grifola frondosa, but it's not as tasty as the Hen-of-the-Woods. Well, here's one that's definitely big enough to be mature, but it's half dead. They can't all be just males. And see, that's a good sized plant. That's mature. That ought to produce fruit. And these back here, this is just, yeah, that's the flower rose. Yeah, we've got no fruit here. But I did eventually find one tree that had a few fruits left on it. A lot of them had opened up already and dropped the seed out. But there were just a couple that were still red and had the seed inside them. So we'll see what happens. Maybe that'll be kind of a winter project to try and germinate them.